Hi, this is Ronnie, and I have a layout process video for you. It's for a challenge for that sketch right there, and it's with Jennifer Bergquist here on YouTube, and I will leave a link below. For her channel, she's the one who picked out the sketch, so she might have more information of where it came from. I'm going to be using My Mind's Eye, and it's a Lost and Found collection. However, they had like sub collections under Lost and Found, so they might have came from different sub collections. I did purchase them at my local scrapbook store several years ago, yeah. But they are gorgeous papers. And since these photos, it was a fundraiser at a church, and the girls were dressed up in vintage clothing. And it's so cute. You know, they had the clothes, but they didn't have shoes for all the kids, of course. So they're barefooted. So, yeah, adorable pictures. And they're kind of tickled in this picture. They're looking at each other because they thought it was funny to have hats on. Yeah. I am going to use this paper that has, I'm going to use antique linen and ink everything, yeah. But I'm going to use this postcard paper, and it just has a bunch of postcards laid different ways on there, so I don't think any of them is actually a full postcard. But I'm going to layer them behind the picture because the sketch shows strips of paper laid behind the pictures. And theirs don't go up as high as mine does, but to get as many postcards as I want on there, I'm going to have to go off the sketch a little bit. And yeah, they're all around the top of my picture. And I'm going to mess with that a long time, trying to decide how I wanted them laid. I should have just went ahead and stopped and glued them down and left it at that. But no, they just kept getting moved, and I had to keep straightening them. And I did cut a bunch of that out. And alert right here, yeah. This is a long video, the longest one I've ever uploaded a video, if it manages to upload. Yeah, I'm stressing over that. But I cut a lot of that moving around of those postcards out. I just couldn't make up my mind. And here I think I just like gave up because I couldn't decide. And I will end up going back to it later. Yeah, that brown gingham right there, I think I'm going to end up using. I even cut the second photo mat out of it, and then I changed my mind. I decided to use this paper right here, and it's a really light mint ledger paper, and I really like it better. Not that I didn't like the gingham, but I wanted to make just a little bit brighter layout instead of it being so dark. I originally purchased this paper to do vintage photos of my ancestors, grandparents, great-grandparents, different ones, and that's what I was planning on doing when I first started scrapbooking, was just to make a vintage album for myself and maybe even some other family members like my mom. And once I did a layout with my grandson, that's all she wrote. Mostly I do my grandkids. And I guess I cut that pink a little small, so I had to cut the photo down just a little bit rather than cut two papers down. Rather than cut two papers, recut the two papers, I cut the photo down. That ledger paper, I don't know if you noticed, but over to the right you can see it. The branding strip's just a little wider than usual on these papers. There it is. I am going to go ahead. I seen that and I thought, oh man, I can't let that go to waste. So yeah, I fussy cut it out and I use it on this page. And I tried several ways, but it wasn't true to the sketch. And I was trying to stay a little bit true to the sketch. So I tried it on the side, on the top, and I'm going to use it. See where the banner is on the sketch? I'm going to use it like a banner instead. Yeah, I even tried putting it there, and nothing was working where it would show to its best advantage and stay true to the sketch. So yeah, I end up using it on the banner, and I really like how it turned out. I had to cut it down a little bit, but I like how it turned out. I think I'm finally going to go ahead and adhere these down to the photo. Not to the page necessarily, but to the photo. There is one of them that I had cut out and I'm not going to use, and the reason being every way that you would lay it, there was like a little message where somebody wrote, it looked like a son wrote home to his mom, and where you would lay it, it would be either upside down, or I think he wrote it upside down on the postcard, and it wasn't working out for me. So I ended up cutting another postcard out, well, piece of a postcard, but because like I said, they're not all full postcards, but I do end up cutting another little one out and putting it on my backing there. And yeah, I think this is where I go ahead and start adhering them all to the photo. And I had finally got tired of moving them around, but of course I have to play with it all and decide how I want it to go. Oh, I think I'm even looking at, yeah, the sketch to try to see what else I could do and see how much layering there is behind the photos. And yeah, I can't go back to just doing it halfway up. I'm going to have to go ahead and use my postcards all the way up. The sketch is a really cute sketch, and normally cute is what I go for on my grandkids pages, but I seen this picture when I was going through the pictures to decide which one to use for the layout, and I'm making my granddaughter's albums for Christmas, and it's like a through the years thing, and I already have one layout made with these pictures, which I made several years ago, and I think I'm going to go ahead and put that in one of the girls' albums, and then I'm going to put this one on the other. Unless I can't give that one up and just make another one. One or the other is going to happen. But yeah, those postcards are really pretty. Even the where they stamp the date, for the going through the postal service, it's pretty too. And these two papers, there's two of these. One, they're just alike, except one is on vellum and one is on paper. And they're buttons, and every one of those buttons is embossed on both sheets. So I am going to cut out lots of buttons. The sketch has like maybe 3 buttons on there, but I take it to the extreme. Take my word for it. I can't do anything small. I have to just go ahead and add to it till probably I get too many buttons on here before I'm done. But I liked how it turned out. I do end up changing something in the photo from the picture. Well, I think it's 2 things in the photo from the picture. From the video. One I added just a couple of days after I finished the layout. And the other one I added after I did the not the voiceover, the editing before I started the voiceover. I did it this morning, and then I went back and took another picture. I did have one picture took, and then I turned around and took another one. Yeah, see how pretty that is? Every bit of it is embossed, and it is just gorgeous paper. I don't know why I didn't buy 2 of each when I bought them. It's not like I'll ever run across that again. But yeah, I've already got quite a bit cut out, and I do end up cutting some more out. But I did cut that out of the video. You're not going to have to watch. Well, maybe you might have to watch me do something a little bit. But, well, yeah, right now you're going to watch me do a little bit more. But I did cut the majority of this out. And the vellum ones, of course, are all going to be adhered straight to the paper. And the ones cut out of the paper, I have some little teeny tiny pop dots. And I put them behind the other buttons so that I can add dimension to this. You can't put it behind the vellum because it'll show up, but this liquid glue does not show up, even on the ones like going up on the photo. And I think there's like a vellum one that's off to the side. Well, there it's going to end up with one up on the photo. And I put glue on it, and you cannot tell it. It is vintage looking buttons, and it does not, the glue does not show up. Of course, this does dry clear, so that might be part of it too. If you used a different glue, it might, but it doesn't show up on this vellum. And I had to cut that just a little bit more to get it to lay like I wanted to. I just cut a little extra out of the button area. And like I said, I took ink, and I even inked all of these buttons. Even if it was a single button, I inked it because I wanted everything to match and look vintage. And that was hard to remember since I normally am not inking when I'm scrapbooking anymore. I did when I first started scrapbooking because I watched those scrapbooking shows on TV, and they did a lot of inking, so of course I had to. And I started out going to Creative Memory. What do you call it? Parties, shows. And then I went to Close to My Heart, which I liked much better. I even thought about signing up as a Creative Memories displayer once. And I was talking about what I'd like to do. And she didn't even have me signed up. And she says, "Oh, we can't do that." I said, "You can't?" And she says, "No, we got to keep everything super simple so everybody feels like they can do it." And I thought, but you can teach them. Anyway, she never called me back to sign me up, nothing. So she didn't want me. She was afraid I was going to get way too creative, I guess, which I probably would have if I'd signed up. But I was disappointed when she said we can't do that, so I didn't call her. Then later I thought, I could have went ahead and done it probably, even though she was going to be over me and would want me not to. Yeah. But then like I said, I went to Close to My Heart ones and liked it much better. They were much more creative, and they had a lot of inking. And see that button strip? It's all going to be on pop dots, and I had to cut part of that, I don't know if you call it banner or what, but it's going to be a banner when I get done. And see those little tiny doilies? It was my thought in my head that when I cut those out, the doilies would show. But when I went to cut them out, I noticed the other side had some really pretty colors. And that's the side that I'm going to have up because I really liked it. And here I'm looking at it and deciding what colors I want and how for it to fit. And of course, I'm going to cut that one in half. And yeah, see how I turned it? I wanted to make sure what I wanted showed. And yeah, I'm going to forget to ink these for a while. I will notice it later and have to pull this banner up and go ahead and ink them. But yeah, I forget to start with because I am not used to inking. But see how pretty that's looking already? And I thought about putting buttons on it, here and there on it, kind of scattering them. But by then I'd already had so many buttons on the page, I thought it's already buttons to the extreme. And I made myself not do it. And I guess it takes me a minute to get this straight. You wouldn't think it would be that hard. But yeah, I had to do that twice. And I'm just going to adhere it down with the ATG. And I'm finally going to adhere my pictures down too. I guess I finally got them the way I wanted them. No more moving on them. And I'm making sure it's straight with the T-square ruler, since it has all those postcards coming out. If it was crooked, it might not have been that noticeable anyway, though. And the banner's just going to sit right there. And see how white that looks now? You'd think I would have noticed it then, but no. I don't notice it till I'm working on this little cluster up here to the left. But I'm pointing out where it's the banners, and I also pointed where the title, it's a little round thing, but my title's not going to be that. My title is too long to go in that little round thing. And this die, I was going to use that one, that Sizzix one with the scallops, but when I reached in there, I seen this die as apparently stored in the wrong place. I seen this die, and it cuts out the hearts, and so I just took washi tape and taped it to the banner where I wanted it, and also it does a little bit of embossing if you look very closely. Oh, here's where I remembered that no, it wasn't inked, and so I'm going back to ink it before I forget. But that little banner, I thought about making it kind of 3D and put paper behind it and popping it up and having another color behind there, but I looked at my papers, and other than the pink, there really wasn't anything I wanted to put behind there, so I decided to just go ahead and leave it like that. There is going to be a postcard, partial postcard, used on there, and I am on because the way it's on the sheet, it is not going to cover one of the hearts that it needs to cover, so I'm just going to cut a little chunk out of the paper and put there. Now there's the one that I end up using, and it's just a scrap. And you will see me in a few minutes put another little scrap on there. See how it's got a little chunk out of it when I put it on there? I am going to make it solid across there so it looks like the little chunk's not there. And apparently just now inking it. And see the spot? It's just not going to take much to fill it in. And oh yeah, I had to go ahead and ink it because it don't cover the whole heart. Then I cut a square to go behind the little postcard there and inked it too. So I do have some pink up in that cluster to go with the pink with my photos. This, like I said, this is a long video, and I'm so sorry it's so long, but believe me, it was like 2.5 hours long by the time I fussy cut all those buttons, and I cut lots out, and it's still long. And here I am fussy cutting the buttons again because, you know, I didn't have enough to start with. I do not end up using all of them in the same place. Yeah, I do. I put alongside of the banner. I forgot. I'm looking at my layout. I did. I put it alongside the banner, and then I'm going to put some more on the banner to pop it up. So my banner's, I think, a little bit longer than their banner because I seen that heart thing and heart die and really wanted to use it, so I had to make it longer to fit. And yeah, see those little tiny pop dots? They worked out perfectly. I don't never use them unless it's something tiny, so I can save them for when I do need something tiny. So I am glad that I have them. They're kind of hard to get out, and once you get the little pop dots out, you have this big sheet to go that you can use for something else, but I save the pop dots for the little tiny stuff. And yeah. But I did notice when I was redoing this morning, yeah, I had edited the video last night and thought I'd do the voiceover this morning. And so last night I noticed it, but I didn't take care of it till this morning because I wanted the lighting to be better to take my photo. And I thought, well, I might as well redo the title in the morning. But I noticed that the button that I end up putting up on the top left of that banner, it was gone. And I did not have this stored in a storage protector. And I just now noticed, watching this video, that there was a button right there, and it's torn there on the um, banner. And I thought, well, I probably just thought that was okay, because it is, because there's ink there too. And I probably thought it was okay and just thought I'd leave it because it's vintage. But no, it's got a button. So I will have to go back later and put a button right there at the top right of the banner. Because looking at it, I just can't, I guess it's OCD thing. I don't know. I can't go without not putting it there. But I did notice that the one was missing from the top because the little pop dot was still there. So I end up putting, for the final video, I end up putting that back and changing the title too. So yeah, I did that this morning and did the picture this morning. So the picture at the end is, like I said, a little bit different. And my title is, I use Maggie Holmes' Little Gold Alphas, and it is All in the Hat You Are Wearing. And what I'm going to end up changing is Or the Buttons, because I put the title on, and then the more there that's the one I have to change this morning. Oh, I thought I was going to put one of these on there. I pulled all these out to use on the layout since it showed buttons, but it just seemed to kind of clash and didn't go with what I had going on, so I cut another button out. And that's the one that was missing, and I noticed it when I was doing the editing that it had the little pop dot sitting there all by itself with no button. But I'm going to go ahead and put the rest of the title on for the part that says Or the Buttons. And it is a gold, but it's pretty dark. And the more I looked at the video while I was editing it, the less I liked it. And since I made this layout, I ran across, there's some Anna Griffin. I had been gifted some Anna Griffin albums a long time ago, and I did not like the alphas in there, the gold. See, I thought about putting those sequins on there, but no, I didn't. And here's the Or the Buttons title. But anyway, I'd been gifted those, and I didn't like the gold. They were super, super thin, and they tore really easy. But then they had alphas like these, and they're thick and heavy, and I really like them, but they were still in with the kit thing from those albums, and they're like instant albums, I guess you call it, and I still have most of the pages not done. I have stolen out of there and done some layouts like for the prom and stuff, but they were a little bit too fancy for what usually my pictures are, and so they haven't never hardly been used. But yeah, see, and it don't look too bad, but thinking about those other alphas that I had with the lighter gold, I thought, man, I think I'd really like those instead. So that's what I end up putting on there. And the thing is, those usually look small with the alphas that you use when you're doing the layout. But because of the alphas that I did use being small to start with, they look kind of big. They don't look near as small as they usually do. But I'm showing there that I did the banner, I did the layering behind the photo, I did buttons, and I did my little cluster up on the left. Although my title isn't exactly in the same spot. And it is much bigger. But the picture is coming up any second now, and you'll be able to see the change. See on the buttons, or the buttons, it's not on the buttons, or the buttons. So that's my layout for the challenge. Be sure to check out Jennifer Berquist, and like I said, I'll leave a link below for her channel and see what she does with this layout. And I want to thank you all so very much for watching, and if you leave a comment below, I'd love to respond, and I'd also love it if you hit the thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. But I hope you all have a happy, scrappy week. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.